Hi, and welcome to the Boat Princess podcast. My name is Nicky Vaux, and I'm your host. I am a boat owner, a marinas owner, an international conference presenter, and a huge advocate for boating. I'm sharing the stories from every nook of the boating industry with the intention of encouraging more women to join me and for more women to get behind the helm too. I want to share the experience and opportunities of boating, of the boating industry, and I want you to join me as I bring the conversations and answer all the questions you've had. Boating is not just for the glamorous and rich and famous. It's full of beautiful and interesting people making the most of our natural environment and getting out there, enjoying the waterways. So, let's set off the lines, take over the helm, and escape to the world of boating. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. I am talking to a young lady who kind of works in the boating industry, but kind of doesn't. So this is really a way we can illustrate to you all the different roles and the different ways you can get involved in the boating industry. So Charlotte Sampson, Associate Director of McKenna Townsend, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Nicky. Thanks very much. Thank you for having me. A real pleasure to be here.
It's we're in London together. Right?
We are. It's a beautiful day.
It's a gorgeous day, isn't it? I mean,
stunning.
It can't actually beat England on a good summer's day. It's quite beautiful, isn't it?
They're few and far between, but today is a good one.
Yeah, we're going to say, this is summer. Yeah, let's make the most of it. So we're at the Royal Thames Yacht Club overlooking Hyde Park. You may hear some horses walk past us here because the King's Guard is next door. But the interesting thing about Charlotte and I is we both went to the same university.
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Bournemouth University.
Yeah. So tell us what you studied there and why.
So I studied a degree called leisure marketing there, which it was part of the School of Services Management. A long, long time ago. I can't even remember how many years ago now.
It's not as long as me. So.
And why did I choose Bournemouth? I chose Bournemouth because my grandparents, like many other people's grandparents, retired to the New Forest in New Milton, which is very close to Bournemouth. And so I had very good memories of that area from being a child and spending a lot of time there. So I picked that area, really. So I'm from the middle of the UK, from Bedfordshire. So it was a good sort of 2.5 hours away from my parents, which at the time seemed like a good prospect to me. And that's why I chose Bournemouth, really, just to be in an area that I was sort of familiar with, by the sea, which was lovely and obviously a change from where I grew up. And marketing, I can't really tell you why I chose marketing, really, but it's nothing I had a chance to do at school.
Yeah.
But the topics that were on the itinerary looked interesting to me. It's something I hadn't done before. And luckily, when I got involved, I enjoyed it. And there was an opportunity to do a sandwich degree, which was just a 40-week placement, which I know Bournemouth do a lot of, which appealed to me because I quite like the idea of having practical experience alongside theory.
Yeah. So that sandwich expression is that you do some study at the uni and then you do some time out in the placement and then you come back to do the study again.
2 years at university. You do a whole year in an industry placement somewhere, and then you do your final year.
And just for those, I know there's a lot of girls who listen to us that are still at school, and they sort of say to me, how do I get into the boating industry, and what should I study at school? So, which A levels and so on did you study before you went to uni?
I probably shouldn't have done A levels. In all honesty, I'm not a particularly academic person. I've always done a lot of physical exercise and that's always been my passion. I did PE, I did art, and I did geography. My grades weren't very good. I didn't get very good grades. But at the time, I didn't have a huge amount of awareness of what else there was around, or apprenticeships or things like that, which in hindsight probably would have been more suited to. So I chose that route. So I chose the A levels and then I chose the university. Why I chose those, I've always had a passion for art and being creative, and I really, really enjoyed it, pure and simple. PE has always been my favourite subject, my favourite topic, and I've always really enjoyed it. And geography, I just really enjoyed learning about different places in the world, which I suppose if you think about all those three things, creativity, physical activity, and learning about different places in the world, I have actually used those a lot in my roles following my marketing degree. Which is great, but really my passion has been exercise, the outdoors, which I don't really know why. I don't know. I didn't really pick a degree doing that. I think my dad was a PE teacher. He was the head of PE at my upper school, and I don't think he was too keen for me to follow his route. And my mum was a nurse, so I chose something completely different, really, to both my parents' careers. But yes, so I chose marketing. I didn't really choose to pursue either of those three specific things that I did at A-level. And actually, I think for me and my skill set, it was very much the right choice. And I actually got the best grades I've ever got through my degree, through marketing. I was really lucky. I managed to get a 2-1. But yeah, my grades at A-level were very not great. Were not great.
which in itself is inspiration, because mine weren't brilliant either.
Yeah.
And I think some of us blossom later than at school. You know,
yeah.
and when we're doing something we really enjoy. So,
well, now I think there's a lot more availability to courses, and also at A-level, there are a wider variety of topics that children and young people can do. Whereas, when I was there, it was all very quite sort of geography, PR. You can do sort of media studies now, which I couldn't do before, and things like that. So I think it's great to try and give those topics a go if they're available to you. But still, I was able to start university without that experience and really enjoy it. So
and it's I do think at school, if because we were discussing this the other night at a careers evening, that if you focus on things you enjoy, you're going to get better marks, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely.
So and you can. The beauty of the unis now is that you can start something, and then if you change your mind, you can
of course
change it up.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot better than certainly I had. Once you were in a course, and that was it. So I think it's it's really good, the system that they have now. All right, so you've gone to Bournemouth. You're enjoying the Bournemouth lifestyle of sneaking off to the beach every now and then. I know I did.
I was.
And what was that? I guess what was the exciting part of that leisure marketing degree for you?
I enjoyed learning about how to communicate to different groups of people. We did sort of services marketing. I learned about the financials and economics, all sorts of topics I've really never touched upon or done before. And then I really enjoyed my sandwich degree. So I spent the majority of my sandwich degree working for a company called Sports Marketing Surveys based in Wisley, which was really interesting. So that was my first connection with the marine industry. We started monitoring the effectiveness of sponsorship of the Volvo Ocean Race.
Oh.
So we were working for Ericsson, who sponsored a team, and a couple of other guys, and seeing how their coverage was, how the return on investment of sponsorship. So we were looking at presence of logos on sales and what got picked up in the media across print and online. And that was my first real experience of the marine industry and sponsorship and an event within the marine industry. And a lot of my work focused on analysing the sponsorship of that race, which was really interesting.
Brilliant event to start with.
Really good. So it's really good to have that and then go back and finish my degree with a bit more of an understanding of, the real world and what it's like to work in sports and in marketing, which I found very useful.
Yeah. And I did the same. I did a hospitality degree.
Yeah.
So my
we were part of the same
sandwich part was at the Ritz in London.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And what's the beauty of those sandwich courses is that you can then, in that time that you're doing that experience, you get a network that you get to meet. So the food and beverage manager at the Ritz was an absolute legend in the industry, and I loved him, and we got on really, really well. And he became a mentor for me, and I then moved to Grosvenor House with him and all that sort of thing. So,
wow.
So it's I think it's a really good thing with those sandwich courses. It gives you that, when you come out of uni sometimes and they say, well, you haven't got any experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you've done a sandwich course, you've got some experience under your belt as well, haven't
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah.
Or you've potentially got an employer that says, oh, can you come back?
Yes.
I think it's a really good system.
Yeah. I've made friends for life that I'm still very much in contact with now through there. So I'm really glad that I did it. It was definitely a benefit to me.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so you've done your degree. Then what happens?
Well, I suppose if I'm to be honest, my dream was to run away to the mountains and be a ski instructor.
Okay.
But I had no money. So luckily, very luckily, I applied for lots of different graduate roles. I met my partner, who's now my husband of 11 years this year, down there. So
Congratulations.
I wanted to stay in that area to be close to him and his family. And a company called Garmin is based in Southampton.
Aha.
So I secured a role with them as a PR assistant, I think before my final exam. And then I went just straight into the world of work as soon as I finished university. And I worked across all the different sectors there. Really nice bunch of people. I think they were European headquarters at the time. And I really enjoyed learning about things I had never worked in before, like aviation. I learned a lot more about the marine industry in terms of chart plotters and depth sounders and radars and all the different instruments. And the very different types of sailing. So they very kindly put me through my comp crew. Never really been on a boat before, so I spent like 4 or 5 days at sea with a sailing school and the Solent, which was interesting for me. And I did my powerboat course, and I got really stuck in and did, of course, all the boat shows that you do when you're in the marine industry. London Boat Show was a big thing then, so I used to work there.
Used to love London Big Boat Show. That was a great show.
Yeah, I mean, it was fresh out of New Year, wasn't it? It was one of the first few weeks of January.
Yeah.
But I worked the stand, I've done my fair share of packing goodie bags and, and all of that stuff that you do in your early career. But I really enjoyed it. And then I developed my role there as PR and marketing assistant, I guess, for marine and outdoor. So then I had even more of a laser focus on marine and outdoor. Which was great. So I remember actually we're sat next to Hyde Park right now. I was interviewing Ranulph Fiennes about his coldest journey in Hyde Park when I was there, which was brilliant. And I had a chance to work with, I don't know if you've met her, but the wonderful Katie Beanie, who is now at RNLI, but she was at Clipper around the world. And I worked with her, and we sponsored a load of boats, and we did a big launch when it left London all those years ago. And got really involved quite quickly with the marine industry and met some lovely people like Katie and Ranulph, and just went from there really. But yeah, really enjoyed my time there. I think it was probably 3.5, 4 years. And it was a great start out of university. I was lucky, but I worked really, really hard. Got really stuck in, never said no, went to all the events, always helped out wherever I could. And I had a good view of briefing in the creative team, worked with retailers, point of sale, I booked advertising, helped with social media, wrote press releases. I sent a lot of products out for review. So I got a chance to do most of the aspects of marketing there, which was really interesting. And I really enjoyed it. It was very good.
Yeah, it's a brilliant broad scope of
yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's great if early in your career you get something that does cover you across the board. So rather than being a huge corporate which just gives you one small role, you're in a decent sized company. Garmin is no small company, but you're doing all sorts of things across the board. That's fantastic. You learn so much.
I definitely encourage others to give everything a go at an early age, just to see what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
And there are always areas of the business that could appreciate your help and that you can learn from. So yeah, definitely always good to try lots of different things, especially in marketing, because it's so broad. Yeah. Some things you love, some things you're not going to love, but it's always good to give it a bit of a go. And then you've got that understanding if you ever need to work with that team again in the future of what it's like to be in that position, which is always of a benefit, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so you're there for about 4 years. And then what happens after that?
I think I then moved on to another relatively local company. So it was a company called Muck Off in Poole. I got a love for cycling when I was at Garmin because they sponsored Garmin cycling team. And so I worked for Muck-Off. They had it's a cleaning lubrication business. They've developed into a larger product range since then, but they had a big involvement in cycling, both road and mountain bike. And I helped them with their marketing across the UK. So I worked with a lot of athletes. And again, I did a lot of the social media, point of sale, worked with retailers, and with the media on reviews and understanding how things were made and tested, and did a lot of factory tours and things like that, which was really, really interesting. So I was there for a little bit, which was great. Again, quite varied. Still a bit of travelling, a lot of bike shows rather than boat shows then.
And still in the outdoor sporting
still
space
very
as
much
well.
Outdoor sporting space, yes, which I guess is where I'm happiest. I just find it quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's quite an exciting space to be. The athletes are exciting, the companies are exciting, they're doing exciting things.
And innovative too.
Exactly. And then a lot of the press events, you get to go out and organise them and go with them and go out into the wild and take the products there and experience it with the media, which I really enjoy, which is good.
Okay, so Muck-Off it is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
that would have been fun using that expression sometimes. That could have been a bit messy.
Yes. Yeah, you have to be careful.
Yeah, very careful. And then you move on to?
So then I had to go at freelance, which was interesting. I worked with a fantastic lady called Kate McNeil at the time, and she had gone out on her own and set up her own PR business called Compete PR. She was really inspirational. She had a great work ethic, busy mum, a brilliant list of clients, and I sort of worked alongside her and we shared work. We went in on pitches together. Again, all outdoors, sporty focus. So I helped look after the PR for women's cycling team, which was really, really good. To help go out on the road with them at events in the UK, like the Tour Series and things like that. Try and get exposure for them as much as I possibly could.
Which is essentially what PR companies do, just to explain to our listeners, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're called public
ideally
relations.
Free exposure, yes.
Yeah.
Raise awareness of a particular product or event or experience, really.
Yeah.
So that was really good.
So the client pays just to explain to everyone, because they may not understand what PR is. So public relations is what it stands for, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the client pays the PR company.
Yes.
And then the PR company goes out to media and various other opportunities for that company to bring them to light.
Yes, absolutely.
In the world, as it were.
Yes,
so you give us some examples of precisely what you do in a PR company.
Okay, so one of the things would be to have a product reviewed in a magazine. So we would send a product for testing to an editor, and we would ask them to take it out the boat or review it, depending on what exactly it is. And it gives that so much more credibility than just a standalone advert. It's a person with experience, with opinions, with extreme knowledge on that sector, and they're giving the reader their opinion of that product, which is really very valuable. And as advertising absolutely has its place, it supports publications. It's a different way of communicating, but it's really important to have these third-party reviews, and different people tell stories in different ways. A magazine editor would be one thing. A podcast, like speaking to yourself, could be another way of speaking to an audience. Product placement on television or within films is another way. It's not always obvious. It could just be something that's in the background. It's a multitude of things. So it definitely needs an approach that takes a lot of different steps. So that would be one example. Another example would be inviting a journalist to a stand at a boat show to see something in the flesh, take a photo, make sure it's included in their roundup, introducing them to the key spokesperson from that brand that's there, and giving them an opportunity to ask any questions they might like, to find out about the product, the reasoning why they've developed it, benefits. And I spend a lot of time trying to set up these introductions and have people on stands and get the shots taken that's needed to make sure my brand has been featured, alongside the competitors in key boat show roundups or, anything like that really. So it's not always just done by sending a product. We do a lot of in-person conversations, and then also sort of standalone experiences. So you could, if you were a marina operator, for example, and you wanted to showcase your new facilities and your new technologies and things like that, you could organise for 5 to 10 media to be flown over and, have the red carpet laid out for them and have a great treatment and seeing all the facilities, seeing everything they've got to offer. And that can then go away and be written about in certain different ways by all those different media. And it means that next time they think about writing about a marina operator, or they might need a photo or all that kind of stuff, it can then also be repurposed and used again. And they've got that good relationship with that brand that they can then call upon a number of times in the future because you did that event that they went to. And it's very multifaceted, and it's growing as technology grows, with TikTok and podcasts and things like that. There's so many different touch points now to reach consumers. It's an ever moving beast, but it's interesting. I definitely enjoy it. I do enjoy the PR side.
Yeah,
for sure.
Fascinating way to and get something out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course you've got massive relationships with people in media and TV, and haven't you? So because that is fundamentally what a PR company has, those beautiful relationships.
That black book and maintaining it and maintaining the relationships is very important.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're working with Kate.
Yes.
And that's based down in the Bournemouth, Dorset area still?
Yeah, so I was working from home in the New Forest, which is where I live now. And then we'd go out to different events. But predominantly that was working from home. That was my first sort of non-office based role, which was different. It has its highs and lows. But ultimately, I think I just really did miss the office environment, and I miss seeing people all the time and speaking to them. So then I moved to a role again in the outdoor sports fitness agency, Shift Active Media, based down in the beautiful Bath. So I relocated to Somerset for about 5 years and lived near Froome, which was lovely.
Yeah, beautiful part of the world.
And that was solely cycling. But we had 27, 30 brands. It could be from helmets to bikes to tyres to wheels to experiences, cycling holidays, bike frames across road, triathlon, mountain bike. So that was really interesting. So again, working with lots of different media, really zoned in on the cycling and outdoor side there. But it was really interesting. Got to again travel a lot, which was good. Went to lots of bike shows, met lots of different brands, and a really nice mix of media as well. Super friendly, really approachable. So that was really, really enjoyable.
Yeah. Awesome. And so you're in Bath and Somerset now, and you're doing that?
That's what I was doing, at the time. Yeah.
And then what changed up there?
Well, I had 2 children.
Oh, that'll do it.
So, that turns things on their head a little bit.
Yes.
And reduces your time.
Yep.
It's obviously fantastic, but it changes, how you're able to work sometimes. So I was really lucky. I was able to go down to 4 days a week, which enabled me to spend a bit more time with my daughters, which was great. But it was hard. It was hard to go back after maternity leave and get stuck in and try and take off where I was before, but really tired all the time. And with so much other things going on and other things to think about that I had never need to think about before. But I'm really proud of myself for doing it. Looking back, sometimes you just think, gosh, I'm not sure how I did it. But I'm really glad I did. And I'm glad that I've now got the mix and I've got the balance. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a balance, but a lot of other women that I work feel like that. And it's very good to have an employer that supports you and understands, which I'm really lucky I had at Shift, and I'm really lucky I've got now. Yeah. So I had 2 children, and then obviously COVID happened and lockdown happened and working patterns changed. But for one reason or another, we moved back to the New Forest, which is where it all began, I suppose. And that's where I'm now based. And that's why I have a role at an agency much closer to home, which is obviously McKenna Townsend, where I am now, which is super. So I've been there almost 8 years now.
Wow.
8 years? Oh my gosh.
Has it gone that quickly?
8 months. Yes. Sorry, we were going from years.
Yeah.
So that's great. So then it's back into the marine industry. So
yeah, because McKenna Townsend is a company in itself as a PR company. It's not necessarily a marine company.
No, it's a full service agency.
But their clients, a lot of them are marine based.
80% are marine based. Yes.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of franchise work with food companies, and they work a lot in the care sector. But 80% of their client base is marine, and that's the side I tend to work on. So Matt and Sarah started McKenna Townsend 20 years ago now, and are fantastic duo alongside all the rest of the team to work with. And we've got a really good mix of clients across a wide spectrum of technologies and countries as well. So we work with people based in Hong Kong, the US, Greece, all over, which is fantastic. And it's something I've really, really enjoyed over the last 8 months. It's been great to go back to marine. It's funny, a lot of the journalists are the same from all those years ago. And like the cycling industry, I've found it really enjoyable to be in. The journalists are always super friendly, approachable. It's a friendly sort of club that is really nice to be part of. So I've really enjoyed trying to sort of get my head back around, sailing and fishing and power boats and the terms, and catch up on what's been happening in the technology and how it's evolved, which is a lot over the last 10 years. And I'm enjoying that a lot. So I'm glad I made the move back. I'm really enjoying my time there.
You can advertise your business right here on the Boat Princess podcast. We have a worldwide audience of around 31,000 listeners a month of boaters and those in the boating industry. Contact us at The Boat Princess. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Matt and Sarah, did they purposely go into the marine space, or did that just happen for them, or do you know?
No, I don't think they purposely went into the marine space. It happened over a period of time. They were both at an agency elsewhere. And decided to start up together, and it evolved with a lot of the marine clients being some of the first, and still one of our, a lot of our clients now are from the early days, which is great. I don't think it meant, set out to be a marine business, but it's sort of evolved that way over time due to a number of different people's experiences in that sector within the team and also within their own backgrounds as well.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the boating industry, isn't it? It's actually quite small.
Yes.
Yeah. So if somebody hears somebody's doing a good job with the PR, then they're going to say, "Oh, McKenna Townsend are pretty good."
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the work that we do is through word of mouth, and our introductions and new clients have been quite often from previous clients, existing clients, which is great, because sometimes people think word of mouth is sort of dead and it's all about online, but actually, especially in the marine industry, it really does mean a lot. It does count. So they've developed a fantastic reputation for themselves over the last 20 years. So I'm really proud to sort of be helping that continue.
Yeah. I think the boating industry does talk to each other quite a bit. So, because we're in events together, we go to Mets Trades together, we go to ICOMIA conferences together, we do lots of events, which mean, and in fact, that for the boating industry, COVID was incredibly hard, because not only did we lose the ability to show our products and so on at boat shows, but we also didn't get to see each other. Yeah. And we come in from all over the world to see each other.
Yeah. So it was really hard for PR as well, because you lost out on that face-to-face contact with a journalist, which is so important.
Yeah.
So it's great now to be able to meet them again at event. And personally, for me, one of my favourites. I'm happier at an event talking to people and working at an event than I am, behind my laptop. I must admit. So yeah,
you're a real people person.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit how you juggle that. How old are the girls now?
3 and 5.
Oh, busy.
Yeah.
So tell us how you manage that juggle. Is there anything particular that you've I know from me that it's the little things that make a difference. I used to have a slow cooker, and
Yes.
and I'd put the slow cooker on before I went to work, and then you come home and you feel like you've got a wife because you walk in and you go,
Absolutely.
oh, that smells good, and dinner's done. So
Yes.
is there any other little tips and tricks that you have found that really work for you to manage that juggle? Because it is a juggle. It really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. And you win sometimes and you lose sometimes. And yeah, it's like this week I dropped my daughter at school and she didn't have a backpack. And I was so cross, but she's 5 and I should have really double checked that it was in the car. But I had a call at 9 o'clock and it made me late and it was so stressful. So yeah, checking those things is important. But the help around you, I'm really very, very lucky that I've got parents that are close by that can help. So I do rely on them an awful lot, and without them, I think I'd really struggle with the cost of childcare. My parents are 40 minutes away. My parents in law are 10 minutes away. So I drive to my parents every Thursday. I lock myself up in my dad's office, and my mum has my daughter. I rely heavily on breakfast clubs and after school clubs, making sure it just gives you that extra half an hour, for drop off and pick up time, which is really, really good. And make sure my husband pulls his weight. Sometimes it's hard to do that. But luckily he's self-employed, so he is able to do pickups and drop-offs. And sometimes when it's easier for me to do it, I still make him do it, so I can maybe have one night in the gym a week, so I can get some exercise done and some headspace. It's really important that things are divided up fairly if you're bringing up children with your partner, and things like half-term holidays and things like that. Never be afraid to ask friends to help out because you can always reciprocate at some point, and in the year. So yeah, made friends with some of the mums, and sometimes we share. We have play dates. We do, never be afraid to sort of ask for help. And a big thing is never be guilty for leaving on time, which I hear a lot. And it's easily done. But if you've got childcare or you have children, it's really important that you leave on time and you collect them and try. I know it's hard, but try not to feel bad about leaving on time, because if you need to pick up something, even you can. And also ask for flexibility in terms of work hours. It's far more acknowledged within workspaces now than it has been in the past. And if you just think, I wish I could just do this, or this half an hour there would be much better spent doing this, just ask. And the worst thing that can happen is, someone says no. And also when you're in an interview, you be honest and say, look, I've got children. This is what I did at McKenna Townsend. It was a 5-day-a-week job. And I said, look, I've got girls. I'm currently on a 4-day week. Is there any way you could potentially look at me doing 4 days or be flexible? And they did. Because if you search for a job that's flexible, you just can't really find one. So you sort of always have to go into one that's 5 days a week and just explain your situation. And actually, most people there are on flexible hours, which I didn't realise at the time. So there are a lot of other mums there that have different days off in the week, and we share them. So no one else has Wednesday, for example. Somebody has Thursday, somebody has Friday, and there's a sports day or something. We work the hours, we make the time up either side, and we were able to not miss those things that are so important. So definitely just always ask, make use of the help that is around you, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask. Even if it's a role you think, gosh, I'm not sure how I could manage that, but you want to progress your career, don't be afraid to just go for it, and see what happens, because that's the only way you'll ever realise you are able to do it. So have confidence in yourself, and go for things that you think maybe you might not necessarily think you can do. But I've never had a director role before, but I went for it and I was really lucky that I got it. And yeah, just try and go for things that maybe put you slightly outside of your comfort zone, if that's what you wish to do. If you wish to have a break and do something that doesn't challenge you because you've just got so much going on at home, it's absolutely okay to have those few years doing less hours, doing a different role, and not burning out, and then maybe thinking about going back to it later. And I think an employer would respect you for doing that and having that time out and focusing on something different. Don't
That's
be
some
afraid
amazing
to have a bit
advice.
of a break. Really? I don't know. Sorry, I waffled.
No, that is actually some really good, solid advice.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because it's the interesting one about being okay with leaving on time. In actual fact, if we set a deadline for doing things, we invariably get them done anyway. And if we know that we can stay in the office until 7, we'll just make it last till then. So that was a really good thing to say. And but just the being kind to yourself was a lot of what you were saying there, in saying, ask for help, ask for this. Don't assume that something isn't going to be possible.
Absolutely.
Actually say, can I do this?
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed what happens. And friend, can you pick up?
Absolutely.
So that was some really, really good advice. I love that.
Good.
So McKenna Townsend you're working for now. You've got a bunch of clients therefore that you're working for. I know it'd be sensitive to mention those clients on a podcast because we don't want other PR companies taking those clients. But I guess what's some really good things that you've done with those clients that you've really enjoyed?
So it's been interesting seeing how the marine industry's changed over the last 10 years since I was last there, and especially around sustainability, which I know is a topic you've covered so well on your podcast previously. So I was really lucky to be part of the ICOMIA decarbonisation report, Propelling Our Future, which we helped those guys there launch in conjunction with NMMA at METS. That was really, really interesting. It was great watching the speakers, getting the media involved, helping their understanding of the project, and being part of the conversation about how the marine industry, the leisure industry especially, can change moving forwards. So we work with a marina agency, the Marina Group, who have got some interesting upgrades to their marinas, which I've been learning about, which is really interesting. They welcomed the Icon, the massive hydrogen boat, one of their marinas in the Middle East recently. But I'm talking to the media about a lot of the different things that they have going on, like the solar panels and the reusing electricity and water, and working with the local communities and regeneration projects and things like that. So learning about sustainability has been interesting. I know you've been speaking to some engine manufacturers about FLIBs recently. One of those we might work with, and may have launched a hydrogen engine there, which has been really interesting to sort of learn about how they're developing their technology, which has been interesting. And then, just sort of seeing how brands you associate with being extremely luxurious and high-end, actually the work that they're putting into their sustainability and what they're doing. I know just had a recent chat with Arxon, and they're doing a lot with their 10% for the Ocean project and their recycled aluminium hulls, which is really interesting. So learning all about that it is really interesting. I mean, I've only done so much in the last sort of 8 months since I've been there, but that's definitely a real strong theme which we're seeing across all of our clients, and it's really good to see something like that progressing so well within this industry.
Yeah, they're being really proactive about it, aren't they? Because they recognise that they do have this white boat image that is not necessarily a good one environmentally. So they're sort of honing in on, okay, what can we do? How can we fix it? How can we make a difference?
I'm looking forward to seeing how they progress.
Yeah.
And then also I was listening about the Magenta project, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, it is incredible.
Which I really like. I'd love to get involved somehow with that.
Did you hear that Magenta product? Yes. Yeah. Charlotte Sampson would like to get involved.
Well, I saw about it at METS, and then also heard on one of your podcasts and things like that. I'm all for expanding female presence at all levels within the marine industry, and I think that's really, really interesting.
I think what's lovely about that particular project is that it's women mentoring women.
Yes.
Which is brilliant. Yeah. So that's a really good part of it. But also the whole basis of that story, and that's really worth listening to that podcast when we speak to the Magenta product at Mets. And Mets in itself is a brilliant event for bringing all of those people together, and for us to be able to have conversations with people like that, because bringing those stories to light and sharing that increasing of support to women in sailing and all that sort of thing is so incredibly important. We are slowly getting there. 2024, women are allowed to be in America's Cup. Woo-hoo.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it's taken a while, but it's happening.
It's slow for sure.
Yeah.
But it's something I feel passionate about. Like, definitely would like to get more involved in, and it's something I like to encourage my clients as well to get more involved in, which is good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you've worked for a whole bunch of different companies. You've done a whole bunch of different things. Is there one standout? Because as a PR company, you're put in certain situations sometimes, aren't you? And you thought they were going to go okay, but then it gets a bit messy. Is there any standouts for you where you had to problem solve really quickly and find something that you? I mean, I'll give you a great example for me in hospitality. We were in Grosvenor House and somebody had drawn the table plan wrong. They'd used the wrong circle for the tables.
Right.
So as a result of that, they'd fitted a lot more people into the room than we could actually get in. So we had to hire different chairs so that they didn't have arms on them, so that we could fit more people around each table. So that was a real, oh my goodness. And I think it was the BAFTA Awards. So it was a major, major event,
Wow.
Very long time ago in the early 90s. But what, is there something that sticks out for you like that I will never forget, that solving that problem, that my manager solved that problem because the new person had done the table plan. It wasn't me, by the way.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how he solved that problem. And it was, I will never forget it. There is always a way. There is always a problem
there always
that
is.
you can fix.
I've never had a major crisis or sort of disaster, really. I've worked on a lot of cycling events where it's been like a mass participation starting in the Dolomites at 5:30 a.m. and the journalist's bike isn't working properly, or we've had to run to a bike shop to get them a saddle so they can actually do it because we've flown someone out from the Telegraph to write about this 4-hour event and their saddle doesn't work. Right. So I've done a few things like that where you just get in the car and you have to just think on your feet and go to a bike shop, and maybe you don't speak the local language, so it's quite difficult. Or I've done a few things where I've really needed to get media's equipment sorted for deadlines for races and things like that. I can't really think of something like the chair example. Sorry, I can't think of one.
Well, the bike seat's pretty. I mean, you do need that if you're going to ride a bike.
You do, yeah. Especially if one of your clients is a saddle brand as well.
Oh,
you need that to work.
You really do.
But yeah, no, I've not had anything quite like that. But there are always things that you have to do last minute, and you just have to try and keep a calm head as much as you can. And think on your feet and try and look calm, even if you're not.
Yes, do the whole duck with the feet waggling underneath, but gliding across the top.
Yeah, and communicate and be honest.
And smile.
Yeah. It's not always ab fab.
Yeah.
Like there are hard times with, and technology as well, recently. I was doing a conference at Boot, and the technology just wasn't playing ball. We were trying to live stream to some journalists in another country. And, I really struggled to keep a cool head because there was a lot of noise going on in the background and we were trying to get it working. And it's sometimes technology is great, but sometimes you can't beat, good old fashioned face-to-face presence in a room.
Exactly right.
But that can be frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
Which you see happening more and more with a lot of the sort of webinars and things like that. But keeping a cool head really is is key.
Yeah.
Not always easier said than done.
So on that note, PR from when you started to PR now is a very different beast, isn't it?
Yes.
And there is a lot more social media. There is a lot more technology involved, all that stuff. So have you sort of retrained yourself on the way through, or have you just learned as you've gone along, or how has that been for you?
A mixture, really. Before I was doing a lot of PR, so I've definitely sort of retrained after COVID in terms of webinars and running things like that, and doing a lot more things online, which is interesting. But now at McKenna Townsend, I have a bit more of a rounded role. So outside of PR, I do a lot of social media. So I've recently come off an event in La Spezia in Italy where we were launching some products with some journalists, and I was helping managing the social media. So I was doing a lot of the uploads and the stories and learning about the stickers and the filters and things like that. And that for me was, quite in the deep end. Something I haven't had a huge amount of experience at before. And I had to learn very quickly on the ground, which was interesting. So around the TikTok and social media side and things like that, I'm learning a lot more of now, and it's developing so fast now. I always try and keep across really good like emailers and blogs and explainers and things like that, which sort of are always constantly telling you about all the different upgrades and functionalities and things like that. But it is a moving beast, and it's hard sometimes to keep your head around everything. But I'm lucky I've got a great team of various different ages within McKenna Townsend. So, we all share ideas and thoughts and news and articles and things like that. So we keep abreast of everything between ourselves, which is great. But on a personal level, sometimes, especially with having, the children, which means you can't always listen to a podcast in the evening, or you can't, my reading time is quite limited. It is hard to try and stay afloat of all the different technologies and the way things are moving. But, I try my absolute best. And I'm lucky I've got a good team around me that, we all work together really well. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
But that is also part of the moving beast, isn't it? Because you can learn so much on YouTube.
Yes.
That, in the past wouldn't have been available for us to learn. You can literally Google, how do I do this, don't you?
Yeah.
And then something comes up and shows you how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which is, we never had that.
No.
Well, I certainly didn't. You're much younger than me, but I was using microfiches at uni, for goodness sake. So and libraries that we spent hours and hours researching things in.
Yeah.
And we've got all that. It's interesting. We've got all that time back.
I know, but it's so strange. But you don't feel like you do you? Yeah.
Too busy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Even with AI now and stuff, you can give you a certain degree of help to a certain level, but you need that experience and that knowledge to tailor things and to make things right. But that's an interesting area that's developing quickly that having to get our heads around in terms of asset creation and copy creation and all the different things that does. It's just really interesting. And another thing I'm trying to get my head around and put into practice and educate our clients on all these things as well, because sometimes they don't know and they're relying on us to tell them about the latest developments and technologies and things like that, and how we implement that into the work that we do for them. And so because that's a constant process for you, because trends are continuously changing, aren't they?
Yes, so a client that you started on, okay, now Instagram's the thing. Okay, Instagram is no longer the thing. It's now LinkedIn or whatever that is.
And there's TikTok and there's YouTube Shorts and things like that. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, you have to stay on top of that a great deal, don't you? Yes. To, as you say, advise your clients, because they're relying on you to get that out there for them. Yeah. Incredible. So what's the future for Charlotte?
That's a good question. Definitely happy where I am and developing my role at McKenna Townsend and enjoying the marine industry once again, getting stuck in. And it'd be great to get on a boat again, definitely, and get some practical experience on the water with the journalists would be great. We're actually all heading off as a team to the Isle of Wight on a rib next week after.
Oh, nice.
Which will be really, really good. It'll be the first time I've been on RIB for ages, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Heading off to SeaWork next week as well, which would be good to have more of an in-depth conversation with people on the commercial side of marine, which I'm looking forward to. I'm not very good at having sort of 5-10 year plan really. But yeah, my youngest starts school next year, so that'll sort of be a change.
That'll be a big change. Yeah.
And at the moment, just carry on doing what I'm doing. Surviving, trying to get that headspace as a mother and as a professional. I'm doing outside of work silly house renovations that take up time and money. So I'm really looking forward to getting those finished.
Yes.
Having some time back that's not shoveling rubble in the garden at 9 p.m. And spending a bit more time with my family, with the girls, exploring with them, getting a bit more time back to spend, doing what I love, being outdoors with them.
Because the New Forest is such a beautiful place to do that.
It is lovely.
It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah. I'm
And you've
really, really lucky to have
pool
that
harbour on your doorstep and all that sort of thing too.
Yeah. And we have a caravan as well. So we've got all
fantastic.
sorts of plans this summer to go up to Yorkshire, and we've just been to Charmouth, fossil hunting and stuff like that. So just making the most of what I've got and enjoying it, and enjoying my career, enjoying the team that I work with, and trying my hardest to enjoy bringing up my girls and watching them grow, because it does go so quickly, doesn't it?
Crazy.
As challenging it is, it's just, I have so many joyous moments watching it, watching it happen. So just like you said, remembering, that rule, keep a calm head, is just not only if there's a crisis, but just try and keep that all the time and just be thankful for what I have and enjoy it. Let's see what happens over the next 5 to 10 years. But
that is a beautiful approach to life, to enjoy what you have.
It is.
Yeah, that is. I think it's one of the fundamentals some people miss sometimes. There's too busy saying, "Oh, I'll be better when this happens," or "I'll be happier when that happens."
Yeah, and I'm the worst person for that.
Blah, blah. Yeah.
I haven't actually said what I just said to myself for a very long time, or thought it. So actually, sometimes having the conversation really helps, because you very rarely sit down and think, what is my plan? What am I doing in the next 5 years? Yeah. So actually, thank you for asking me, because it does make you more appreciative, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It makes you actually think about it, because I just never do. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, great conversation, Charlotte. So good to talk to you. Thank you for coming in to see us here in London.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's been a real pleasure.
No, and amazing work you're doing with McKenna Townsend, really exciting company, and they seem to have a lovely energy. Yeah, the whole team.
They have.
Yeah. So great to work with, and
and we're always at all the shows, like I mentioned. So we're on LinkedIn. Drop us a message, and so even just for an introduction, or to pick our brains, pick my brains, anyone's brains really, let us know, and we'll be happy just to have to.
If you want to get in touch with Charlotte Sampson at McKenna Townsend, you can contact her on LinkedIn, or McKenna, which is McKenna Townsend TOWNSEND.com. Thank you so much for being here, Charlotte. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. We'll see you on the water soon. Exciting stuff is happening at the Boat Princess podcast, everyone. And one of those things is a new exclusive content podcast that will be released to those that subscribe. Now, we'll be interviewing people that don't normally go on public interviews, and this won't be a public interview. They'll be hidden behind in our exclusive, amazing content. And then there will also be things like product releases before they're released, all sorts of exciting stuff. So watch this space. Looking forward to bringing it to you. Did you know that you can follow me on Instagram, and I'll be doing boat reviews and also giving you some fantastic maintenance and lifestyle tips for your boating lifestyle. You can follow me on Instagram at The Boat Princess, or you can follow me on LinkedIn as Nicky Vaux, The Boat Princess. Vaux, by the way, is spelled Vaux.